Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my YouTube practices. And this will be the last Thankful Flow YouTube practice of 2021. However, exciting news in January, there is going to be a series of practices on here, completely free. So please do subscribe to this channel if you would like to join on with that. This will be a really special series where we will look at some breath work and meditation and be looking at the chakras and going on a little journey from the beginning of January, kind of getting back into our flow. So yeah, I would love to see you there for that. But today we're going to do a lovely grounding practice. So starting the class in a child's pose. So sitting the hips back towards the heels, reach the arms out in front, or you could bring the arms by your side if you prefer, and melt your chest and your forehead down to the mat. And you can close off the eyes here or take a steady gaze. Really thinking about becoming as passive as you can. So release and relax the muscles in your body and start to observe your breath. Observe your inhales and your exhales. Begin to notice where your breath travels to within your body. Where can you feel the breath? Maybe it's in the belly, chest, abdomen. And a little thought for this practice today, thinking about one of the niyamas, one of the behaviors that we look at in yoga. And this niyama is Santosa, which is all about contentment, but finding this contentment from within yourself. Sometimes there is so much going on in the outside world, and it's easy for the ego to look for things outside of yourself to bring you peace and contentment or happiness. And so just reflecting on how you find your contentment within you. And one way to do this is to think about the things that you already have that you're grateful for. So there might be a few things that you can hold in your mind that you're grateful for. Maybe you want to honor some of these things in your practice. Maybe one of those things is your yoga practice or your health, or it could be absolutely anything, just thinking about what that means to you. Turning inwards and really tuning into what's alive for you. Slowly start to open your eyes if you had them closed. And begin to lift your hips away from the mat, coming into a tabletop position. So shoulders are above the wrists, hips are above the knees. Take an inhale, send your gaze forwards, open across the chest, coming into cat and cow. Exhale, drop the head, round through the spine, come up and out of the shoulders, tuck your tailbone in. Inhale, lift the head, shine the heart forwards. And keep flowing through your cat and cow, leading with your breath. So I know that for some of us, allowing our movement to be led by our breath is quite often challenging. You feel a bit uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like out of your comfort zone, perhaps. I really encourage you to give this a go. On the inhale, opening, and on the exhale, rounding. And then start to come back to neutral. Tuck the toes under, and on your next inhale, send your hips to the sky for downward facing dog. Creating this V shape with the body. Really press the mat away from you with your hands, send your gaze between your knees. Belly button's coming in towards the spine. Keep breathing here. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, take a releasing breath. Keep lifting the hips to the sky, creating space, remembering that you could take a child's pose here if you're not feeling for your downward facing dog today. On your next inhale, start to step or walk the feet in towards the hands and hang down here in a forward fold. So take as much softness through the legs as you need to. And if you've got an option, if you've got your blocks with you today, you could use your block here, or if your fingertips are coming down to the mat, then you can have the fingertips on the mat. We're going to come into a twist. So taking as much softness through the legs and then taking slightly more bend through the left leg. Grounding through either the left fingertips or the hands on the block. Inhale, reach the right fingertips up to the sky, come into a little twist. Gaze comes up to the sky as well. Breathing here. Exhale, release the right hand back down. Bend the opposite leg. Bring the right hand either to the mat or to a block. Reach the left fingertips up to the sky for the twist. Exhale, float the left hand back down. And start to curl the body up to standing. Head and neck coming up last. Doing this with a rounded spine. Slowly making your way up. Meeting into Tadasana mountain pose on your mat, grounding through the feet. Press the feet into the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky, lift your ribs away from your hips. Exhale, hinge at the hips. So this bend is really coming from the hips, and start to come into a forward fold again. Soften the knees if you need to here. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, float the hands down to the mat, step the feet back. Either coming into your plank or you could drop the knees straight down. Connect to your inner line of energy. We're all made up of energy, ultimately. There are lots of different chakras running through the body, different energy centers. So really trying to connect to this here. Keep breathing. And on your exhale, soften the knees down to the mat and lower the rest of your belly down to the floor. Inhale, roll your shoulders back, peel the chest away, cobra. Press the tops of your feet into the mat, activate the lower body. Exhale, melt the chest back down. Inhale, start to press the hands into the mat, lift the body away. On the exhale, send your hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Really relax the head and the neck. I'm sure I've said this in lots of other practices, but if there's one pose that you were going to do every day, this would be it. You're getting an inversion because the heart's above the head. So we're increasing the blood flow to the brain. This can really help to re-energize. It can help with focus and concentration. We're building strength through the arms, the shoulders, the core. And then we're stretching through the back of the body. The spine's stretching, the backs of the legs are stretching. So it's also a real, there's also a lot going on here. So there's different opposing forces, stretching, strengthening. And then also trying to release tension in the head and the neck. And remembering to breathe. On your next inhale, start to step or walk your feet in towards the hands as you lift the chest, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky, grow the spine tall. Exhale, bring your hands through to heart center. Well done. Now from here, grounding through the left foot, step your right foot back for a high lunge. You've got the option to drop your back knee here to modify. Check that the front knee is roughly in line with the ankle, that you can see your big toe. And although we're lengthening through the back leg, it can be bent, does not have to be straight. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky, lift up and out of the waist. Exhale, float the hands down, and maybe you can find an interlace behind the back, open across the chest. So shoulder blades are drawing in towards each other. The chest is opening, the heart is shining forward, and on each in-breath, lift up and out. So really lifting up and out from the root, from the hips, from the waist. And creating this space in the spine. Start to release the hands from the interlace, bring them back to heart center, and step the right foot in, and the right toes, bring them out to a slight angle, and the front left foot is staying straight. And then square off the hips, so hips are nice and square, shining forwards. And keep the legs lengthened. Inhale, reach the crown of your head to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, starting to come forwards, keeping the spine long and strong. So prioritizing the length with the spine. So that means that you're coming to about here. And that's where you should work today. If you're really feeling it in the legs, if you're already really feeling the stretch, especially through this front back of the left leg, then just be mindful of that, mindful of the hamstrings. Come into a place where you can feel the stretch and what works for your body. Maybe if you're quite open in the backs of the legs, you're coming down further, but keep the spine lengthened. Maybe the fingertips are coming down to the mat. And if they are, then you've got the option to keep walking your hands back, and we're drawing the forehead towards the front shin. But again, this is just somewhere where you can take the pose if it feels right for you. Keep the back right leg engaged. Keep the left hip tucked in, so really keeping the hips nice and square. Breathe into your pyramid pose. Notice if your breath's changed. Inhale, start to slowly come up, grounding the feet into the mat. Keep the spine lengthened. Really rooting through the feet, grounding them into the earth beneath them. Then bring your hand into heart center and start to ground through the left foot. And we're bringing the right foot, hovering the right foot away from the mat. So getting, coming into a warrior three here, but this could be your warrior three today. You might be working with hovering the right foot off the mat and working here, finding a focus point or a drishti. For warrior three, we're really keeping the hips square. So hips should always be shining forwards, or if you're coming deeper into your warrior three, the hips are shining towards the mat. So keep the hips nice and square and keep the back leg that's lifting away from the mat nice and engaged and strong. So keeping that line of energy in the body ignited throughout. Either keeping the hands at heart center, or you can bring the hands by the ears. Inhale, release. Well done. And meet back into Dasana, mountain pose at the top of your mat. Bring the hands to heart center, and you can put one hand on top of the other here and press the hands into the chest. Closing off the eyes for a moment. Take 2 deep breaths. Notice how the chest moves with the breath. Perhaps noticing how being focused on the asana in this practice, being focused on putting your body into these shapes, these positions, how it really can bring you into the present moment. As soon as your mind starts to wander, sometimes that's where we lose focus in the asana, and there's no right or wrong here. We're simply observing how this practice can be used as a tool. Releasing the hands, bring your hands back to heart center, and this time step the left foot back for your high lunge, or drop the back knee down to modify. Front knee is above the ankle. Find your foot foundations first. As always, working up from the root of the pose. Finding stability. Yoga is all about stability. Inhale, sweep your fingertips up to the sky, lift up and out of the waist. Exhale, bring the hands down. And you can either be reaching your fingertips back here and getting that opening across the chest, or maybe you're taking the interlace, drawing the shoulder blades together, opening across the heart space. Inhale, lift up and out. Exhale, release the breath. Keep lifting and lengthening on your inhales, and exhale, releasing. Start to release the hands from the interlace. Bring them to heart center or to your hips, and step the left foot in. And this time, left foot's at a slight angle, and right foot's facing forward. So find your foot foundations, squaring off the hips. So sometimes it helps to bring the hands to the hips and think about having the hips shining forwards. Take a deep inhale, reach the crown of your head to the ceiling. As you breathe out, slowly coming forwards, keep the right hip tucked in. Really checking in with how are the legs feeling, how's the spine feeling, where do you need to come to in this pose, what's going to serve you. Letting go of ego and where ego might want you to go in the pose, and really thinking about coming to a place as always that's before your limit, but where you can feel the stretch opening in your body. Keep the back leg engaged to stabilize. Send your breath through the back of the right leg as it opens up into the stretch. On your next inhale, slowly start to come up, keeping the spine long. Then from this neutral position, hands to heart center again. You could always use some blocks here. I'd always recommend having as many blocks and props to support you in your practice as possible. You could use books instead of blocks. And this is a lovely way to work into Warrior 3. So you could be working up here if that's where you need to be, then keep focusing here, lifting the left toes away, keep focused on hips shining forwards. Or you could be bringing your hands down to blocks and then making sure that your hips are shining towards the mat and working with lengthening this left leg out behind you. So this is strong through the core, the glutes, all these muscles in the back body. There are also muscles that are really important to protect the spine and to support your spine, support full body stability. So thinking about what you need in your Warrior 2, maybe you're taking the blocks away, maybe the hands are coming by the ears. Honouring what you need today, which will be different from tomorrow or yesterday. Taking from the practice something that's honouring how your body's feeling. Start to slowly come out of your Warrior 3 on this side. And grounding through the feet, all coming up onto your toes if you want to work with a little bit more balance here. Bring your arms out in front and start to lower the hips down to the mat. So we're coming into seated position. Of course, you can pop your hands down if you need to. Slowly making your way down. Then when you're ready, dropping the hips down to the mat into a seated position. I'm going to come into Gomukhasana now. Go. So bring both legs out in front first and pop this right leg over the left. And we're hooking it over, working towards knees being stacked. That's just a gesture of where the knees are heading. Could be that your Gomukhasana is working here. Maybe you're also able to bend the left leg in. And again, thinking about knees being stacked. For you, feeling the stretch through the hips, then, and you don't need the fold today and you want to work with the stretch with a spine lengthened and breathing here, you absolutely can. So this can be quite an awkward pose for some of us, but it's a really, really good stretch, especially as an anti-desk stretch, an alternate range of movement in the hip. So we're getting an internal rotation with the top leg, so through the right hip here, that's really, really beneficial. So inhale, lift the crown of your head to the ceiling. Exhale, start to walk the hands forwards and breathe into the stretch. Coming onto the other side now. So either taking the hook with the left leg over the right, maybe the right leg's bending in as well, taking any adjustments you need. Option to work in a neutral spine and breathe here into the stretch, or you start to come forward into a fold. Inhale, start to come back up. Find your way back to your child's pose where we started the class. So melt your forehead and your chest into the mat. Hips are coming down towards the heels. And relax the body into the mat. Perhaps coming back to the Niyama Santosa that we mentioned at the beginning of the class. Thinking about finding that place of stillness and contentment from within. Thinking about how you can find that. Maybe it's through the breath, maybe it's through your practice, maybe it's nature, maybe it's stillness. And when you're ready, start to come up from your child's pose, walking the hands in, and we'll finish off the practice. But if you have time to stay in a longer Shavasana or child's pose, then please do. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to do some more flows with me, please join me in January for my Root and Grow series on here. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year.